Okay, I will call the meeting to order. Welcome to those in the gallery. I just would like to say a word or two before we get into the meat of the meeting. There were some raised voices at a special meeting that we held on March 4th. Mine was among them. So for that and any mishandling of procedural matters, I apologize. In the past, the chair has been lenient with regard to disruptive behavior, grandstanding, politicking, raised voices, etc. However, going forward, these chambers will become a more respectful place where the offending individual will be asked to leave. This is the regular meeting of Council of the Municipality of Swan Valley West, held in Council Chambers at 216 Main Street West, Swan River, Manitoba, this 8th day of March 2022 at 7 p.m. Present, myself, Deputy Reeve Blosha, Councillors Foster, Kushniryk, Pierrepont, Wills, and Gade. Our CAO, James Webb, as well in chambers, doing the podcast, Jeremy Bergen. First resolution, be it resolved that the agenda for the regular meeting of council held this 8th day of March 2022 shall be adopted as presented. Do we have a mover, please?
I'll move it.
I'll second.
Moved by Councillor Blosha, seconded by Councillor Foster. Is there any discussion?
It doesn't look like we're necessarily too loaded down with business tonight, so there's a couple things I'd like to add to the agenda if that's possible.
Well, you'd have to
I'd
make an
like to
amendment.
leave it the way it is. I got too many things going on.
So you don't have time for a longer council meeting, basically?
No.
If it's okay, I'd just like to go over what I'd like to add, and then if we can't, I suppose that's okay too. So I was hoping to add an item about fire protection. I was hoping to add an item about access to documents. I want to add an item about budget 2022 and an item about council matters, each of which would, well, some of them may have a resolution, some would not. Is there any appetite to add those items tonight?
I'm sorry, no.
Could move an amendment, I guess, if you so choose.
Okay, well, I would move to amend the agenda to add fire protection, access to documents, budget 2022, and council matters to our general business sections of 7.3, 7.4, 7.5, and 7.6 respectively.
Do we have a seconder?
I'll second it.
Okay. Any further discussion? Not, we're voting on the amendment to amend the resolution with the 4 items that Councillor Gade has outlined. Ready for the question? All in favor of the amendment? Opposed? Amendment is defeated.
One further point of discussion on the agenda. I noticed tonight that I'm using a paper-based copy, but I look around the room and most people are able to use electronic devices. Is there a reason why I'm not able to use an electronic device tonight? It seems I don't have access to it. Been locked out of the AllNet system, so I can't see any of the agendas, I can't see the minutes, I can't see anything. Is there any reason why I'm locked out?
None to my knowledge.
Mr. Webb, is there a reason why I'm locked out?
I won't answer that.
Am I locked out, sir? Mr. Webb, have you locked me out of AllNet?
I have given you copies as according to what's required, so that you can participate in the meeting.
So, for interest's sake, we spend a lot of money on AllNet. Everybody else has access to AllNet, but I've been excluded from
Okay,
the system.
we will move to the
I think
vote
I still
of
have the
adopting the
floor,
agenda.
don't I?
Pardon?
I thought I still had the floor, I wasn't
You
quite
had asked
finished
a
yet.
the question was answered.
And I was still speaking.
We're reverting back to the question of the resolution as presented.
I'd like to move a second amendment. I move that Councillor Gade be given access to the electronic version of the documents for the meeting.
Okay, we have a seconder for that.
I'll second that as well.
We really have no ability to either give you access or deny you access, so.
That actually isn't entirely correct. I've spoken to AllNet. They indicate that Mr. Webb has specifically limited my account from seeing the meeting.
I would
So-
suggest that you try to work this out with administration.
I don't know why I would when I'm a member of council and it's my kind of right to have the information for the
And you
meeting.
should work it out, I believe, with the administration.
That would
Maybe-
require administration to be speaking to me, but at the moment administration refuses to speak to me for any
Well, there
reason.
may be reasons, so let us carry on with the vote, if that's okay,
Sure, I'd like a recorded vote on that, please.
with the vote on
The amendment.
the amendment. Okay, well,
That would be so that you could have access in the future.
No, tonight. There's actually one button he has to click on that computer right there and I would have access.
okay, we'll call the question. All in favor of the second amendment as proposed by Councillor Gade?
Remember, it's a recorded vote.
Yeah? Go ahead.
I vote yes.
Yes.
Councillor Foster?
No.
Councillor Pierrepont?
Yes.
Councillor Kushniryk?
Yeah. Yes.
And Councillor Blosha?
Yep.
Okay, so the amendment has passed.
Just curious, how did you vote, Mr. Reeve?
I vote yes.
Thank you. I won't interrupt the meeting by going for a laptop now, but I appreciate that.
Okay, back to the original resolution. Be it resolved that the agenda for the regular meeting of council held this 8th day of March 2022 shall be adopted as presented. All in favor? That is carried. Next resolution. Be it resolved that the minutes of the regular council meeting held February 22nd, 2022, and the minutes of the special meeting February 25th, 2022, and March 4th, 2022 be adopted as presented. Do we have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Kushniryk, seconded by Councillor Foster. Are there any errors or omissions? If not, all in favor? That is carried. Okay, do we have anything under Public Works? report?
Public Works, no delegations, no petitions.
Okay, under General Business, Board of Revision. The resolution reads, resolved that the Board of Revision for the 2023 assessment roll shall be set for Tuesday, October 11th, 2022 at 7 p.m. in the council chambers of the Municipality of Swan Valley West, 216 Main Street West, Swan River, Manitoba. And be it further resolved that members of council shall sit as a board for the purpose of hearing applications for revisions of 2023 assessments under subsection 4.2, sub 1 of the Municipal Act, with the Reeve to sit as the chairman of the board and chief administrative officer to sit as the secretary of the board. Be it further resolved that the deadline to submit applications for revision of the 2023 assessment roll shall be set as September 26, 2022. Be it further resolved that on all necessary advertising, mailing, and posting of the notice for said hearing shall be made in accordance with the Municipal Act. A mover, please. Moved by Councillor Pierrepont, seconded by Councillor Kushniryk. Any discussion on that? Not all in favor? That is carried. Seven point two. The resolution reads, whereas a council member has appealed a code of conduct sanctions imposed by council of the Municipality of Swan Valley West, Reeve Kushniryk to Gade, Therefore be it resolved that council authorize the CAO to provide the information requested by the Municipal Code of Conduct Appeals Director, including, but not limited to, the investigation report, the resolution of council sanctioning council member, written submission to council, Code of Conduct complaint, and the Municipal Code of Conduct bylaw, as well as a resolution passed by council authorizing the CAO to provide documents to the appeal director. Mover, please. Moved by Councillor Blosha, seconded by Councillor Kushniryk, I guess I saw first. Any discussion? If not, all in favor? Oh, I'm sorry.
So I did want to offer a bit of discussion there. I'd like a recorded vote on this matter. I wanted to note as well, as you mentioned, it's me that has appealed this. Council has yet to comply with the bylaw regarding this code of conduct complaint. No information has yet been provided to me with regard to the investigation or the findings of it. Under council's own bylaw, that is required. And that must be provided to me before it's discussed at a meeting. So my understanding is it has already been discussed at a meeting, but still I have not received any information. So the appeal I was forced to file says that council has provided zero information to me, and I'm unable to even defend myself in the appeal because no information was provided as is required from the bylaw. So what I would suggest council do as an interim measure would be to comply with the bylaw. Provide me that information. I would then, under the rules, have 30 days to review it so I could be prepared for the appeal. So I would recommend that we provide that information tonight. We could direct administration to do that, and that we table this until I've had a chance to actually review that investigative report. That is,
Actually, you've already filed this appeal though.
I know, but I
And
still
you
need to
do
review
have
the
30
report.
days from when it is filed with the information, as I understand it.
That's not correct. So I would really like council to follow the bylaw, provide the information that's required by the council's own bylaw, and table this until that information has been provided, so I have a chance to review it, so I could actually defend myself in the appeal. Would council be willing to consider that?
That's a question that I will be asking as soon as we determine if the information has been supplied.
For interest, I have contacted Mr. Webb and the investigator indicating the information hasn't been supplied. They're requesting copies of it. At no time have I received a response to those communications from Mr. Webb. I did receive a response from the investigator indicating that if it was to be provided to me, it would be provided by Mr. Webb. That has not happened.
Just finding the date that it was sent. It was sent out. You replied to the email.
What exactly was sent? The copy of the investigator's findings?
That's what was intended for you to receive, yes.
So can we confirm that actually was sent and I replied to it, because I've yet to receive it or reply to it?
Let's move on to the, well, I can do it right now, or we can wait until later in the meeting for me to pull that up.
I think it would be appropriate to table this in the interim until we do that.
Yeah, there we go. I'll have to find that email for you.
I thought you had it on screen there already. Is it not on the screen already?
What screen are you talking about?
Well, you just said that it was sent. You pulled up your thing, you looked at it, you said that I have sent it to you and you replied to it. But now you're saying you need to find it for the first time. So how were you able to tell me it was sent and replied if you weren't looking at it already?
I remember from memory that you replied to it.
That wasn't necessarily the impression I got. I felt you had actually found the
no,
information.
I
I misunderstood.
it was sent from the computer, not the phone, so that's why I looked up.
So what were you doing on the phone? I'm just
I
curious.
was looking to see if it was on there.
So we do have a resolution about cell phone use at the table.
It was being applied to the question.
Good, thank you.
If you want to take a 10-minute break.
We can do that for sure. Yeah.
No. Okay, we'll call a 10-minute recess. Recording should go off at this point.
Say you must have took a
Okay,
needle
so
before
we'll
you
pick up
come
where we
in.
left
We'll
off.
call the meeting back to order.
8.22, the investigator must provide the CAO, the complainant, and the respondent with a report summarizing the findings of the investigation. So it's the investigator's responsibility to provide that to the respondent. And in 10, and in 10.3, it says if sanctions are imposed, a sanctioned member must be provided with a copy of the resolution authorizing a sanction. So my responsibility was to provide the respondent with the resolution, and that was sent out on January 28th.
So I'm a little bit confused because before the break, what we heard was that you had emailed me the investigative report and I'd replied to it. Is that still the case, or?
I emailed you. I mistakenly, if I did say that, I would have to go back on the recording if that was the case, but I did email and you did respond to that email that I sent out, so.
And you have received a request from me for the investigative report indicating the investigator hadn't provided it?
No.
The investigator has also received a request, which he replied that Mr. Webb needed to provide it. So at this point, I still don't have the information I need to be able to actually defend myself in the appeal. Sorry, excuse me, Mr. Webb, on the floor. So I guess my request still stands that we table this until such time as I'm able to obtain the information. It is part of the bylaw that I'd be provided that. And I don't know how council would expect me to be able to successfully appeal and defend myself if the information isn't provided to me as to what I was found guilty of doing and what I did. It's kind of vital stuff to have, to know what I was convicted of. So would council be willing to do that?
I'll tell you what the respondent said back. He says, please ensure the bylaw is fully followed by 4 p.m. today, or I will consider action in the matter. That's what I received back. No requests from the respondent for the investigation, and no direction from the investigator that I was responsible for doing that. So we fulfilled our obligation. If there was a lack of information, that should have been worked out on the date the resolution was received. I think there's full information available of what happened and what was going on. We can still pass this resolution and proceed with the appeal that I have on my desk.
So what I'm understanding is I'm not going to be provided the information of what I've done wrong or the investigative report. I don't think that's an appropriate response for council. I think council should really look into making sure I receive that information. I'd like to see us do that so I'm actually able to defend myself. It's very hard to file an appeal that says no one told me what I did wrong, but they told me I'm suspended for 3 months. So it'd be very nice to have that information. I think I would edge toward it being required that I have that information. Council ultimately hired the investigator. I have had multiple correspondence with the investigator. Unfortunately, Mr. Webb only seems to be able to find one email this evening of several, but that's all right. I don't want to take more time looking. I really think it's important that I provide
I just
the
want to clarify
investigator.
that
Still have the floor, Mr.
I just
Webb.
want to clarify one thing. Okay.
Go ahead.
So I think it's important to have it. I would like very much for council to consider that, It wouldn't be hard to table this. It certainly wouldn't cause any issues to the timeline. It could be tabled. I could be provided the information. We could have this discussion in 2 weeks' time once I've had the information.
I don't think that there, frankly, any discussion on our part with you regarding this claim. It is entirely now between yourself and the appeals director. Clearly, as I understand it, the individual who investigated this complaint is in error if he did not mail you a copy of it, of his report, which is clearly his responsibility. And I don't believe that it would impinge on your ability to appeal at all, to have this dealt with this evening so that things keep moving smoothly through the system. You should contact the investigator and ask where your copy is.
I have done that several times. He tells me that Mr. Webb hasn't. I would like...
Mr. Webb has it.
Yes, I have in writing from the investigator, Mr. Webb has it and will provide it to me. I'd like a recorded vote on this, please.
Okay, any further comments or questions?
I kind of have to agree with Bill that if he hasn't been given the information, this should be tabled till he's had a fair shot with everything he's supposed to have.
Okay, anything further from anyone?
What happens if we table it? Like, I mean, does it,
As you keep pushing stuff down the road, it could have impacts. I don't know. The thing is that the appeal was filed. This is our responsibility now to supply the appeals director with this information, and that's what we're trying to do.
We are on a timeline with the appeals, so that they have to do it. And it doesn't affect the outcome, whether it's now or later, but we just have to meet that deadline.
The deadline's 30 days, so we could still do it in 2 weeks and be within the timeline.
At any rate, a recording vote has been called for. We will go ahead and do that. Councillor Gade,
No.
Councillor Wills,
No.
I'm gonna be last. I'm gonna be last on this one.
Councillor Pierrepont,
Yes.
Councillor Kushniryk,
yes.
Councillor Blosha,
Yes.
Yes.
and yes for myself. The motion is carried. Moving on, 8.1. Under Finance. Be it resolved that Council of the Municipality of Swan Valley West hereby approves the following payments. James, I don't have the check numbers here. Resolution. They would be General Cheques number
17609.
to 17643. Do we have a mover, please?
In the amount of,
$115,680.59. Mover, please. Moved by Councillor Blosha, seconded by Councillor Foster. Any question on the checklist? We all had a chance. Oh, you have your name?
I do. I have a couple questions. Check 17623 to Manitoba Hydro. In the amount of, looks like $6,044.18. On the notes we've been provided tonight, it indicates we're paying the hydro for December, but I note the date of the check is March the 8th. Is it right that we're only paying December in March, or is there some mistake there?
actually, that is in the system. It was saved, and it wasn't changed on the description, so it is a correct bill.
Just February then?
Yeah.
I also note check number, this list is easy to find it, 17612, $12,626.25. In here it indicates it's emergency snow plowing. I was curious, how much have we spent so far on emergencies, no plowing this season.
What truck was that? What number?
612.
612.
Approximately 29,500.
And that includes this check?
Yes, it does.
I believe that satisfies my curiosity for this evening, thank you.
Any other questions? You've all had a chance to review them?
Could I get the mover and the seconder on that?
Oh, I moved
I
it.
second it.
Okay, good, thanks. I was just closed out and never, so, thank you very much.
Here was the information I was asking.
What's that?
I see that up on top in the green banner.
Yes, and I
you see-
changed it now, so if you close out and open it up again like I did, you'll find it there.
Sorry about that.
17629 to Northview. That's for the damage to that truck.
That's right, the wheel, right.
Okay, if there's no further questions, all in favor? That is carried. Next resolution, be it resolved that Council of the Municipality of Swan Valley West hereby approves the following payments. Payroll payments, checks number 4027 to 4037 in the amount of $16,408.62. Would mover, please? Moved by Councillor Kushniryk, seconded by Councillor Pierrepont. Any questions on those?
I'm curious, prior to my time away, we had been putting the amount of overtime accrued in each payroll cycle. I have to admit, I simply assume, given how the conditions have been, that we have had some overtime for our operators, but I don't see any indication of overtime being accrued here. Is it possible to know how many overtime hours we've used lately?
I'm not sure if that's readily available, but typically, when we have times like this, the guys will try to take time off. And so it's neither here nor there when it comes to actually having to have a commitment to pay that overtime.
So I just want to clarify, so we're not intending to pay any overtime?
That's not what I said.
Okay, please explain more.
I said that typically in times such as this, with lots of snow, the guys work a lot of overtime. But then they want time off, at least part of the overtime and time off. So because there's X number of hours of overtime, does not necessarily mean that they will be paid out that overtime because of them wishing time off.
When they have the time off, say for example, they work 10 hours of overtime, how much time off do they get?
They get it at time and a half.
So we get 15 off?
Yeah.
So it would still be, I think, useful to me at least, to see how much overtime we're using, and certainly I think the residents would feel assured to see that we're using overtime wisely. And council had provided direction on this in the past to administration to include the amount, but it's missing. So would it be possible for administration to find that number and email it to all of us once he's able to?
You made some comment that residents would be interested in knowing how we manage our overtime.
That's correct.
I don't believe that there would be a person out there that lives in the rural who would not be happy to see the plow coming up their road, even on overtime, if
Oh.
they can't get out. So,
Certainly it wasn't my suggestion they'd be upset that we were working overtime. I was thinking they would be upset if we were not. So I wanted to see the overtime hours so we'd be able to say, you know, we're working a lot of overtime, we're doing all of this, but certainly from what's presented tonight, it appears that no overtime's being worked at all, and I'd like us to be more accurate in that.
Okay, any further questions?
I have a quick one here. Are you guys able to click on payroll checks one, and does it work for you guys?
Wait, just a second, say that again?
Can you click on payroll checks one? And will it open the checklist for you?
Yeah, where the lock is, like,
Yeah.
yeah.
I've had the same questions 3 meetings in a row. This is going on 2 months now, and now suddenly, if I was to bring up that page, I'm locked out of it. I'm the only one locked out of it.
Don't know what that would
That's
be.
the only thing that doesn't work on my list.
Yeah, right, that's, yeah, no,
With
unfortunately, I
little
have
red
nothing.
thing?
Just pass this down to Matt. I don't know what the technical glitch is, but,
It worked an hour ago, but it doesn't work now.
oh,
So that's all I'm saying.
yeah, no, I don't know why, Matt.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a mystery.
yeah.
Mr. Reeve? And just for a note, I've had extensive conversations with AllNet. They assure me their system's working absolutely correctly, and that each person that doesn't have access to materials, when they checked, they found that those materials had been specifically blocked from them by administration.
Let me just reassure you that I talked to AllNet this afternoon. They were very disappointed that they were being misled by councillors trying to get into the system through the back door. And so I just want to reassure you that we have to lock our systems down, but there is nothing amiss, and I'm not aware that anything's been locked out on anybody's account. Specifically, we're talking about Matt's payroll account, that's for sure. And I will look into it at the break.
Okay,
I wonder, there was a fairly serious allegation leveled there a moment ago by administration. And the councilor's been trying to get into AllNet through a back door. Could we have more information about that? Because certainly that's concerning to me.
That's all I've got to say at this point.
I think we start to build trust at some point in time, or it will never be built.
So what part of locking me out of all of the information would build trust?
I had suggested to you quite sincerely, Councillor Gade, that you take this up with administration one-on-one and act, both of you act like gentlemen. And I'm sure that the differences, either knowingly or unknowingly imposed, if there were any, will be resolved.
Not sure if you're aware, Mr. Reeve, but the last time I attempted to discuss any of this with administration, staff were told to call the RCMP to have me removed from the building.
Yeah, can I get that piece of paper then?
This one here?
Yeah, that one right there, yeah.
Which one?
That one that I passed to Matt.
That Matt has?
Oh,
No.
that one, okay, good, thanks.
No,
Yeah, okay. I'll just get it afterwards, I just wanted to.
Looks it
I-
different somewhere? Looks the same.
Are we ready to move on? 8.3.
You have to vote on.
Oh, I guess we have to vote on that last one, sorry. Okay, we'll call the question. All in favor? That is carried. 8.3. Be it resolved that Council of the Municipality of Swan Valley West hereby approves the following payments. Indemnities for February in the amount of $9,197.50. A mover, please. Moved by Councillor Blosha, second by Councillor Pierrepont. Any questions? Not? Oh.
So I admit I'm a little confused because I've been away for a little while. Typically, before I was away, when indemnities would come to the table, there would also be the actual sheets providing details for the indemnities with them. Are we still doing that, or do we now only see this summary page?
I can get those. I once again overlooked that, getting those pages attached to the file, so I'll get those at the break.
So if we could do that, I'd like to table this until I've seen this.
I can get those for you real quickly here if you want to take another break.
Thank you.
Take a 5-minute recess.
So I'm curious, I don't have the act in front of me, but the Public Library Act, what does it provide for reimbursement for attending library board meetings?
The Library Board Act itself does not allow board members to be paid. There is no such thing in the Municipal Act. So the representative from council to the Library Board is fully entitled to be paid as a member of a committee.
Thank you.
Any other question? Not, we'll call the question. All in favor?
No, but was voting early, sorry.
You are voting.
You're voting too soon.
Well, yeah, I was calling the question, I was putting my hand up for yes, sorry, that was too soon.
I
Sorry.
thought he was asking you.
All in
No.
favor, once again? That is carried. Is there anything under safety committee here?
Yes. If you click on the red, or I guess you can click on the resolution first.
Well, I don't know whether to pass the resolution, it's just prepared in case we need to, but it's just to look at the list.
Might streamline the,
That was just in there.
The thing is it's regular purchases.
They just asked you the question about the.
yeah,
Except for the,
regular,
the blue.
we gotta review some things from time to time, so it doesn't get out of control, I think.
Yes, yeah.
So this last one is a required,
That is something, that's a piece of shop equipment that we've talked about getting for Durban extensively.
how
We
did
need-
they transfer now? Pardon the interruption.
Yeah, what they do is they just roll it across the floor. And so, the more important thing is to get it off the truck. You know, this barrel, this just tips it and rolls it to the corner where, you know, instead of rolling the barrel, right?
So
Is that
this,
correct?
this item on here is a barrel lifter then, not a
Like a
def
truck belly.
transfer.
No, I think it's just a lifter.
I think that's how it's written.
Just
It's
It
for
must
getting
hook
it
on
out of the
somewhere.
truck onto the ground, you know?
Yeah, it's like a truck belly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what does it hook around the top ring or what?
Some of them have a strap.
Okay.
Yeah, I've seen them a few different ways.
Use ancient grain or what?
I don't know, some of them are just long and you just use it to slide down
Oh, okay.
So the two images that I seen, one was kind of a dolly that was shown, and or a wheel cart almost, and the other one was just simply a bar that, you know, you hook onto the top rim and you're able to lift on that bar to stand the
Drum up.
stand the drum up. So once that drum's on the ground, then yeah, you can just roll it on its side to the corner that you want it, and then use that bar to stand it up versus
the.
the old fashioned, yeah, bending over and throwing your back out. But
Yeah. What I use is I have hooks on the side there and I have an engine crane with a hydraulic jack, you know, like to dig up
yeah,
the whole barrel, but that's probably a plastic.
this is a plastic barrel too,
Okay,
yeah.
yeah. So that strap probably is the way you.
Well, drum lifters work with plastic
Yeah,
as well.
yeah, they must, eh?
But
Yeah.
you would have to have a sky hook of some sort, like a hoist of some sort to.
Like I just have one of them, little engine rolls on the cement and just with hydraulic jack.
But it's got an arm out and.
Yeah, it
Top
is
of
arm
the
Yeah,
mount.
thing
yeah,
there.
yeah,
I have
that,
another
this
question.
drum lifter would work with
I have no
that.
idea.
Yeah, oh, I know, that's what I
Except
mean,
it takes
that's
up
what,
space.
Not gonna pretend.
what's that?
Except it takes up space.
Yeah, it folds up.
The crane,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's a pretty good thing to have, yeah.
So would this have more than one use then?
You could use it for gallons of oil or.
Yeah, no, I understand drums, I'm talking other uses, such as moving a fridge or a deep freeze or that sort of thing. Is it type of
Again, I don't know which one
mechanism
she's.
that would
Depends which one
be
they got.
a furniture mover?
No, it wouldn't probably be a furniture mover.
Okay, this one's at the bumper.
The other question is, how do we get delivery of this DEF fluid?
Gets loaded in the back of a half ton, drive it out to the shop, you put 2 tires on the floor.
I've seen them take one out.
Yep,
So the petroleum company, like Co-op, wouldn't deliver them?
it'd still be the same process, and for a fee, I'm sure. It's,
They would charge for delivery?
Yeah.
I'm not talking on a half ton, I'm talking on your fuel truck.
You can't load
Can't
out.
load it on the
No,
truck.
there's no,
No under storage?
no, we don't have any.
Tyler, do you know how often they pick up a barrel?
Summertime it seemed about once a month.
Okay, yeah.
Lately it does seem like it has increased every
Oh,
3
3
weeks.
weeks.
Okay.
Seems like, so,
My thought on this is I think that we should be looking at getting into totes instead of barrels because we change them out twice a year in Manitoba.
Who does that then?
We do it ourselves, but you have to have a loader there with forks.
Yeah.
But you only gotta do it twice a year, and it's a done deal.
And it total lasts for 6 months?
Yeah.
Is it any?
how many machines do you have running?
Two and a 3/4 ton truck as well.
Yeah. Okay.
Is it any cheaper, do you know?
I don't know, is it
It
cheaper
should be.
the more you buy?
Yes, I shouldn't talk prices, but it is cheaper substantially. So
Yeah.
your upfront cost is going to be the pump and
The tote.
yeah, that's another upfront cost. But there's the valve that the pump connects to get the fluid out. So that's going to be your biggest cost. Once you get past that, then yeah, your savings will make up for it
Just the initial, man.
fairly quick. I would say.
I think it would save a lot of time running around, picking up barrels and whatnot.
How
The
many
only
liters in a
1,000.
1,040.
1,000 liters?
Yeah.
And there's,
205, yeah.
Oh, they're picking up the 30-gallon ones,
Well,
not the
that's-
45s.
Yeah, it'd be the 45.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
But-
we have a pump for the 45, and I think the pump is different for the tote.
Yes.
The pump
Yes,
for the
because you're
tote is electric.
yeah. For the tote is electric. Where what you're using right now is just a hand pump. So
well, possibly we should look into that then before we go ahead and
Well,
buy
that
something.
saves
that
5
we want.
trips.
it's
Yep.
yeah. I guess the only thing would be is
Especially with
having it
gas.
unloaded.
Worst part about
You
it
need
is
your
they have to do it
you'd need your
with their
forks to
personal
unload your
vehicles quite often
tote.
too, 'cause
But,
there's just
I think
no
we
one around to help.
probably have a set of forks out there.
I think we got pellet forks for that John Deere. I think.
Yeah, we do, Glen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just yeah. Something to consider.
Okay.
I would like to see the rest of the items purchased though.
I would too.
I understand leaving that one out, but we could remove
Yeah.
that one item until we decide on the tote. But the rest of the items I would like to see purchased. Unless somebody would like to see more prices, but she's got a few.
I think she's done her homework. I think the prices are good.
Some places that she tried to get prices for, I believe, weren't in stock either because of,
But she's called more than one place.
I can go back.
Yeah,
Do
she
you have
has.
it open?
As far as where she's looked or what?
Yeah, just a second, I can go back.
No, well, that's fine, just saying, as long as she hasn't just
Couple quotes.
picked a place and said this is the price. If she's called around and got pricing, then I'm okay with that.
Just let me.
Okay, you will change, consensus is to remove that last item then
Yep.
from the list.
Just a second, I'll get there.
You review it. Okay.
There's nothing in that safety agreement that says they can't lift more than so many pounds.
So she's
It doesn't
just,
specify how
I found
many items
it.
or anything, so it just can be removed. I think this resolution is fine.
The list of items to be purchased as soon as possible has been presented by the Committee to Council Municipality of Swan Valley West. Except for the last item,
Yeah,
or the barrel, what is it called there?
lifter.
Lifter. Okay.
she has Darryl, she has Conrad, Ackland's, Princess Auto, Knight Rider. Some, those lights were only available at that one.
Okay, whereas members of the Workplace Safety and Health Committee for the Municipality of Swan Valley West has reviewed the improvement orders stating from the Workplace Safety and Health Officer, and whereas the improvement orders state that if a risk is identified, correct any unsafe condition as soon as it reasonably practicable, and in the interim take immediate steps to protect the safety and health of any person who may be at risk. And whereas a listing of items to be purchased as soon as possible has been presented by the committee to the Council for the Municipality of Swan Valley West, therefore be it resolved that we do hereby approve the attached purchase listing with the exception of the last item on the list, the barrel lifter. You have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Wills, second by Councillor Blosha. Any further discussion?
I want to share a concern I have. The barrel lifter, I understand the concept of council and not wanting to do it, but once I hear the resolution itself that indicates these were recommended, I think it's improvement orders was mentioned there. The barrel lifter is a $160 item. And if that source of it wasn't just a wish list, it was actually a need for improvement that was identified by the safety committee, I question why we would not spend the $160 on it. If we had even one workers' compensation claim as a result of someone straining their back from lifting that barrel while we think about changing to totes, we would spend several $1,000s in additional workers' compensation fees the next year. So if it was only a wish list, they said, oh, it'd be nice to have one. I completely understand not doing it and looking at the tote thing. But if this came forward as that we need this for our safety, it would concern me to remove it.
I think Mr. Wills could probably clarify that one because you went on the...
Yep.
So was that a wish or was it?
If we're gonna stick with the barrel, it should be on this list, but even that day in the shop, and even at this meeting too, last time we met, I've been wanting to get away from the barrel and go straight to a tote, so if that's the route we're gonna go, we won't worry about that, but you're right, if we don't end up getting a tote, we have to get one of those.
Okay.
But for now, I'd say leave it off the list.
Do that at the next
We're
meeting.
going a different direction.
Let's not table it for too long. Let's
No.
get prices on the totes and decide the cost of a tote and the pump and everything, and then decide whether it's $160 or...
Well, the electric pump is gonna be a little bit more than that.
Yeah, no, I understand that.
So
But the saving on the price of the
Saving
gas,
on DEF though might pay for that.
and then the extra.
More
You're $900 plus
for that DEF one then.
because everything's got to be stainless steel,
Oh, okay.
and that DEF fluid is.
That's just the one-time purchase
Yeah.
though, and then
But
it's
we
just
need
tote
two.
price.
No, we don't use one in the Swan shop.
We don't need one in Swan,
Oh, we don't?
not yet.
So
Okay.
they just pull
We
it
just-
used to.
I thought we needed
Oh,
one for
okay,
each.
yeah.
Yeah, no, just the two
Okay.
DEF graders in Durban so far.
Well, that's kind of nice, they're in the same
Okay, any
place.
further discussion? Not, we'll call the question, all in favor? Carried. Okay, anything for correspondence, unfinished business? And we'll go to committee reports. Councillor Kushniryk.
Okay, transportation and I believe there's a library meeting in there somewhere.
You were at a special meeting or were you,
Yeah.
not the last one,
No.
but the previous one on the 25th?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. So, yeah, I guess, for the library meeting, we were introduced to our new, committee representative from Swan Valley West, Mrs. Holden. And, yeah, just early discussions on the 22 budget, so that is to follow.
That's it. Thank you. Councillor Blosha.
Yeah, I attended a transportation meeting. And, well, if you count, I guess, the two special meetings.
special meetings.
Yes. I wasn't counting the February one. March 4th and February.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Wills.
Transportation meeting for me as well, and two special meetings.
Thank you. Councillor Pierrepont?
I had the transportation meeting, the 2 special meetings, and I attended the G4 meeting last night. It was actually very good. With lots of good discussion. I won't get into it. I'm sure Mr. Gade will talk on what's going on there. I will let him do that as he hasn't been allowed to talk for a while, so. And that's it for me.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Gade?
So I did attend a special meeting. We held that on Friday night. Minutes are already approved tonight, so anyone that's interested in what happened at the special meeting can review the minutes. There was not much in there, but one resolution. Last night I had the privilege of attending the G4 meeting in Birch River. It was a well-hosted meeting. Those of us that attended received gifts from the Municipality of Mountain. They provided us a coffee cup and a pin and a pen. And the catering, of course, provided an excellent meal as always. It was great. At the meeting itself, once supper was out of the way, discussion was entertained about the doctor recruitment fund. It was questioned if in 2022 everyone should still contribute the full amount to the fund. The town of Swan River noted the agreement was already signed for 2022, and the general consensus in the room was the agreement would be honored for 2022, but the amount of contribution would be reviewed for 2023. Mayor Jacobson spoke about the existing commitment to a CT scanner, $600,000 from the Doctor Recruitment Fund, $300,000 from the Health Facilities Foundation. That's, I think, still an ask, but that is the ask. At current, the Doctor Recruitment Fund has in excess of $1.23 million. That was the amount at the end of the year, and there has been another contribution received since. They reported there were no expenditures in the Doctor Recruitment Fund in 2021. Councillor Denson spoke about the lack of nurses in Swan River and the number of people who needed access to CT scans. We know 2 members of his own council needed the service in recent months. He further suggested that doctor recruitment funds be used in part to hire a part-time or full-time person to look into nurse recruitment. It was noted that Swan River is 23 to 24% short on nurses. They said percent. I don't know if they meant percent of positions, but
No, percent.
percent? Okay, if that makes sense. Councillor White indicated he was concerned with the story in the Star Times that appeared to indicate there would be no CT scanner for Swan River. He indicated he sits on the PMH board and had also spoken to their CEO. He says that both the board and the CEO are in favor of a CT scanner. He feels that someone misspoke to the paper and gave them the wrong information. Councillor White spoke about Medical Services Committee, explained new agreement structures for the return of service for nurses. LPNs are going to be offered an agreement where they receive $1,500 up front, and after 2 years of service receive an additional $1,500.
It was 4.
They said 4 and then changed it to 2. I think doctors are 4 and nurses are 2, from what I gathered.
BNs are 2,
No,
I believe.
RNs are more.
Okay, BNs in any case, the amount was $2,500 up front, and what I understood was $2,500 after 2 years, but maybe just don't
Yeah,
quote us on the
I
2-year
thought
part.
They said five right up front for a 2-year commitment.
No,
for BN.
no, it's not the
No.
full.
Whitey was kind of going all over the place.
No,
Yeah, that was
he,
even from the-
Let's let
He's reading it
Councillor
correct.
Gade finish his
Sorry.
report, please.
Body cameras for the RCMP and their costs were discussed at the group. Many councils are concerned of the cost of $3,000 per year per camera. That doesn't impact rural councils so much as the town, but there was strong concern in the room about the town being asked to foot that bill. The federal government's funding it for the first year or 2, but after that it becomes a problem for the town. Other councils will not directly pay the cost. It's assumed it'll come from tax dollars. A rep from Armor Mountain suggested the costs need to come from something other than tax money. The group spoke about Swan Valley Rise. There was much discussion about the future of Rise and what was being done so far. The group agreed it was worth trying to resurrect Rise. To facilitate this, an ad hoc committee was formed with Councillor Delorier, Councillor Donnelly, and Councillor Gade. The group will construct terms of reference for a new Rise board. Each of the 4 councils will submit the names of 4 individuals who they feel would be good at economic development planning. The ad hoc committee may also submit names. On May 2nd, the G4 will meet and the entire group will vote to select 8 persons from the submitted list to sit on the Rise board. Each council will then be responsible to dismiss their current representatives and appoint 2 of the 8 new members as per the Constitution of Rise. The group will choose the best 8 people regardless of their physical location in the valley. The board of 8 would have limited spending power, but would be tasked with creating a vision and operating plan for future economic development. They'd be tasked with reporting to each of the 4 councils on a date to be determined after the fall municipal election. 4 councils would then make a final determination on the proposal and determine the final fate of Rise. For now, the assets of Rise would remain with Rise. No one in attendance objected to the plan. Councillors rather should submit their names a few weeks before the May 2nd meeting so that there can be some biographies drawn up so everybody knows who the candidates are and they're ready for review at that May 2nd meeting. The town of Swan River spoke about their new strategic plan and shared a printed copy of their public document. It was noted the brochure looks great and will do a lot towards making our valley look professional. The group spoke about some economic development opportunities, including the establishment of a training program for nurse bridging. Currently, candidates must leave the valley, but the group felt the training could be done in the area instead to keep them here at home, create the job of training them here, but also save the expenses of going out of town. The group noted the 4 new jobs have been created in the Artmore Mountain for economic development. Tours of facility employing individuals were offered after the meeting. Several members of council took a tour. Brief discussion was also held about bringing Ukrainians to the valley for refuge on an interim or long-term basis. Many agreed it was a concept that should be explored, and I understand the town of Swan River is meeting tonight to further discuss that. Several other things too. It's not a meeting just about that, but it was on their agenda for tonight. And then the meeting was adjourned. That's my report on Rice. Or sorry, not Rice, G4.
Councillor Foster.
I had 2 special meetings and a transportation meeting.
Okay, thank you. I had a fire meeting in Benito,
Oh, yeah.
a special meeting,
That's right.
planning district meeting, trans meeting, and another special meeting.
What was that, planning district?
Darryl maybe was the fire meeting too.
That was from the one before.
And you had, so you had transportation, fire, planning.
2 special meetings and a trans meeting.
Yes, okay.
Planning district.
And Foster had a fire meeting.
Mr. Pierrepont as well.
Pierrepont's fire meeting.
Got Pierrepont's fire meeting, Benito, Foster's, and the Reeves, and myself.
Okay, now it's your turn.
I had a transportation, a fire meeting, special meeting, and G4.
Thank you.
Okay, I've updated that.
Okay, be it resolved that we do hereby accept the following verbal reports regarding council committees and communications. Councillor Kushniryk, Transportation, Library, and Special Meetings. Councillor Blosha, Transportation, 2 special meetings. Councillor Wills, Transportation, 2 special meetings. Councillor Pierrepont, Transportation, Fire Meeting in Benito, 2 special meetings, and G4. Councillor Gade, special meeting, and G4. Councillor Foster, Transportation, Fire Meeting in Benito, 2 special meetings. Myself, Transportation, Fire Meeting in Benito, Planning District, and 2 special meetings. CAO James Webb, Transportation, Fire Meeting Benito, and special meeting as well as G4. Do we have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Blosha, seconded by Councillor Kushniryk. All in favor?
Discussion.
Thought you had discussion, but go ahead if you have a question.
Well, no, I had a question on the resolution. I actually want to thank Councillor Kushniryk for his update on the library. It's nice to know what's going on in the meetings. I heard several members of council reference a fire meeting. I'm wondering if they would be able to provide some update on what's happening with fire protection, with information that maybe has come from that meeting.
Well, it wasn't about fire protection.
What was it about?
It was just a meeting with the Benito Fire Department.
But not about fires. But not about fire
Not
protection.
about fire protection, about supporting them and asking for them to bring everything they think they need to budget time.
Well, it certainly sounds like it was about fire protection, but I thank you for the details.
That's when we were talking about stuff that they need, yeah.
Yeah, it was more concerns of what they need for the budget and making sure it gets included in the budget so nothing gets missed.
Maybe it's nitpicky, but to me it sounds like they're needing equipment for fire protection in Benito.
Well, I mean, you can put it however you want to put it, but, yeah.
We had a good meeting with.
That
Okay,
was-
is there anything further? not, we'll call it again. All in favor? That is carried. Do we have anything for in camera?
We don't know.
Okay, the next one,
Notice of motion.
notice of motion. Is there any notice of motions out there?
Yeah, there's one there.
Oh, yes, click on it. Okay, notice of motion is I, Councillor Blosha, do hereby give written notice that I will, at the next regular meeting of council, introduce a motion to rescind resolution number 2022-163 of the regular meeting dated February 22nd, 2022, regarding gravel hauling tender.
Excuse me.
Sorry about that. Okay, if there's nothing further,
Would it be possible to get a copy of that notice for someone has time?
be it resolved that this meeting shall now adjourn at 8:18 p.m. Be it further resolved that the next meeting is Tuesday, March 22nd, 2022, at 7 p.m. Mover, please. Mover, Councillor Foster, second by...
Quick question there.
Excuse me.
Did you want to give anybody a chance to speak on the phone, or?
Oh, I am sorry. Thank you for reminding me.
I was excited about getting out of here, I was, but.
I'll just-
Excuse me.
I have to offer my apologies to those on the telephone because we did not break for in camera. It slipped my mind to allow anyone on the line to ask a question or offer a comment on tonight's agenda items. Is there anyone that has a question or a comment?
Do I always have to go first? Okay, I'll make it short and sweet because you guys have had a long meeting. As a ratepayer, it is very appreciated when grader operators are willing to use time off for their overtime. And I think in the old-fashioned world, that's called horse trading. And let's remember, it saves us tax dollars.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else with a question or a comment?
Yeah, it's Ron here. Could you ask the question to anybody else on the phone? During the whole meeting, I get portions that it just absolutely cuts right out. I don't hear anything, and then it cuts right in. Am I the only one experiencing that? Could you ask the question, please, Reeve?
I will do. Is anyone else having problems receiving transmission over the phone?
Tonight I did. Voices would disappear, but I knew the line was open because I would hear somebody cough.
Okay,
I just wanted to say that whenever, like, there's been a few times when I've called in for a meeting and I'll lose you guys.
Yeah,
And if I go snap my finger or cough, you'll come back. I don't know why that is, if it's something to do with that particular phone or what, but I know what they mean. It'll just fade right out and then all of a sudden, boom, come back.
is that on your cell phone or landline?
It doesn't matter, it's happened on both my cell and my landline.
Okay, well, I apologize for that. We take my word for it. Council will back me up. I have not touched the telephone. I think it's all on video tonight as well. And no one has touched the telephone, so there are obviously some gremlins, is that what they call them? Somewhere. Anyone else have a question or a comment?
This is Bob Dahman. The phone was fine here, so I can't say what the problem would be.
were you on landline?
On the landline, yeah.
Okay, thank you for that, Bob.
Okay.
Jeremy?
With the province lifting almost all of the restrictions next week, I believe. Is council going to take some consideration in inviting people physically back into the council chamber?
We're halfway through a resolution to close the meeting, but go ahead.
Well, I just wanted to say that that was actually one of the agenda items I tried to introduce tonight. I had a motion prepared to reopen for the Galloway, but unfortunately council determined we didn't have time to consider it this evening.
I think if the regulations are lifted, we would leave it up to administration to advise the public of that. I suppose we could stiffen the regulation as a council, but we can't obviously open it prior to. And as has been pointed out, municipal governments were never obligated to follow all of the guidelines that were there. We chose to do it to be a leader in the community in respect of health and safety of not only our council members, our staff, but the public as well. So I would leave that up to see what the regulations are when they come out, and then have our CAO act on that. If we find that it's not appropriate one way or the other, depending on what the lifting of the regulations all entails, then we can definitely deal with it at the next meeting.
We do have a resolution that we've passed that we would have to undo somehow. Because we passed a resolution saying no one could be here. So we can't just start letting them come without dealing with that in some way. We either have to repeal it or pass something new. We'd have to do something as a council. And we've tied administration's hands with the resolution. They can't just undo it.
Yeah, well, perhaps we'll wait and see then what the new regulations are, and we can have a discussion and rescind that motion at the next meeting.
May I ask one more question?
Go ahead.
When you're talking about opening for the gallery back at Chambers, is it possible that possibly this format could continue? Because I know with my schedule and where I'm at, there's times that I can grab and get on that I can't get into the meetings, but just my thoughts, if both could be accessed to ratepayers, I think it would be a bonus.
I don't see anything wrong with that at all.
No, I don't either.
It seemed, outside of a few glitches that a couple of you have experienced tonight and others on other evenings, I think it works reasonably well. So thank you for that input. We were in the middle of asking for a mover and a seconder, and I believe we had Councillor Foster move.
We just need to change the time now to 8:25.
Oh, yes.
So that's what I'll do on my
Okay.
side. Yeah. And it was Foster.
This the date. And the seconder, Councillor Foster,
And
Councillor Kushniryk, I mean. Councillor Foster moved, Councillor Kushniryk seconded. Come on.
You smelt the
All in favor?
Yeah.
That is carried. Thank you.